Okay, let's start. So, the very first thing when I research about this topic is that it's very important because the health and safety when you do this type of hot irons and instruments. So, there is several evils when we do the iron soldering. We have electricity, hot irons, raw acid, lead, fumes. So we need to prevent any problem with any of those. So electricity, I won't teach you. I think everybody knows. You can get the electrical burn. You can die. Okay. So they are the regular prevention for preventing injury with electricity. So of course, not for any light part of your body to electricity. Have a good ground electricity appliance, reduce, have a good installation of the circuit breakers, and you can read on them. Of course, keep your hand dry, any wet around the electrical appliance, and then we need to add another one, which is the hot iron. Okay, so electricity can cause you burns, and then hot iron, thermal burn, of different severity. Actually, I burned one of my fingers because I was distracted and touched. And I smelled the burnt skin. Yeah. So, for this, I have to point it good. Never touch the tip of this. This is what I did. I touched the tip accidentally and burned myself. Also, when you handle the wires, use a tweezer or clamps just to prevent any, because the heat is transmitted immediately to the wire. If you're soldering with keeping the wire in your hand, you may get burned. This is to have always clean the tip and prevent any spark of oxide from the tip of the solder. Always keep it clean. Always put it in a safe place. Never touch something in your workstation that can get burned. When you don't use it, unplug it. Okay, the last one is the fumes. I found that there's some work-related problems with this, like nose and throat irritation. Even they mentioned lung cancer. Of course, you need to have a long life exposure to this for many years. Eyes irritation. So this guy is protecting himself. I think it's a good idea. But in order to prevent problem with the fumes, there is some cabinet that can take the fumes out away from your workstation, or you can have this type of snorkel to take away the fumes. But the most important thing is to have a ventilation, very good ventilation in your work area. Yes?
Your airbrush station works very well too for extracting fumes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually it's similar to this box. So, I think this guy is a little bit fanatic. It has a lot of air structures in every station he works. But I think that's the key. Have a good ventilation, windows, and to prevent any irritation with the fumes. Okay, so let's go now to the next chapter, some definitions and consideration about soldering. So what's soldering? It is a process in which two or more metals items are joined together with a metal or fluid filler, which is the solder, into the joint. Okay? So what is a solder? It's a filler metal that has a lower melting temperature than the wires you are trying to connect. That's the difference between the soldering and welding, because when you weld, you actually are melting the two pieces you're going to join. In this case, you use a different thing, a third party, the solder, just to fill and join the wires. So the solder is a formulation of two metals, tin, T, and lead. Okay, and all the formulations came in a percentage where tin or the T is first and the lead is second. So they are the most common, and you can see in this one 63% of T, 37% of lead. And this is called eutopic because on that combination, both metals melt at the same time. Okay, and that's interesting. But then, and this is the lowest melting temperature for this formula. Okay, but when you decrease the T and increase the L, the temperature of melting is in a bracket between 183 to 190. That means that this formula will melt at a higher temperature. And this is interesting to know because sometimes you need a quick melting formula, and you first join two pieces with a higher temperature melting formula, and then you add the smallest pieces with lower temperature, melting temperature, so you don't melt the first joint. Okay? So, what are the conditions to succeed in soldering? So, you need a solder iron of sufficient wattage, a bit suitable size, a right flux, a right solder, and a clean metal to solder. So you cannot solder a dirty, corroded, oxidized metal. Okay, so this is, I think, most people recommend. Jerry has a lot of experience, and he has this one, and he's apparently the one that has better report. Is a Weller D51. You can adjust the temperature of the tip here. You know when the temperature is reached when that light starts flashing, and also comes with this just to prevent burns, to keep your soldering position, and this to clean the tip. So it's a good set. You have this one, or?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Mine is a disaster. Yeah, I will buy this one. Okay, what about the beads? So there is many different shapes and size. I think everybody will, after having some experience, you will choose the tip you really need for the pieces you are soldering. I think the smaller the wires, the smaller the tip. And also the bigger the tip, more temperature they provide. So you can see different shapes, conic, like a screwdriver there, cut here like this. So, and I learned in a bad way because I ruined several tips. Because I thought that it was just a piece of metal, and it's not. So the core is a copper tip. There is a galvanic iron around. There is a corrosion-resistant nickel coat. That is important because otherwise everything gets oxidized. And then there is a premium chromium plate, and at the end there is a high-quality lead-free alloy. And all the temperature generated here is transmitted to this tip. So what I did, I can show you several of my tip. I clean it with sandpaper. So I remove all this, so it was a disaster. Until Jerry told me, no, this is the first mistake you made. Yeah. Okay. So what about the flux? So the flux is a chemical that cleans, is used to clean. It's a cleaning agent. Okay. Flowing agent and purifying agent. The primary purpose of the flux is to prevent oxidation on the base and on the filling material. But also I found that the flux can decrease the time of the heat you expose the wire, because concentrate the heat there, just a touch there, and the time you expose the metal and the joint is very, very decreased by having a flux in the joint. So clean metal. So I use brass. Some people use copper, but I think the copper is too flexible and needs to be pristine and shining. Needs to not have any oxidation or corrosion, not to be corroded. How to clean the wire? So we have a mechanical way with files. I've been doing that, but there is a chemical way too, where there's a mix of salt, vinegar, and a baking soda. So the chemical cleaning, the salt and vinegar is an acid solution. So what you do is expose the wire there for 1 or 2 minutes. This will etch away the oxide from the metal if you want to join it. And then you need to neutralize the oxide with an alkaline solution. So then you wash the wire with sodium bicarbonate and water, the baking soda. This is another way to do it. And it's quick. I haven't done it, but I think it's better because even they say that even you're touching your you know the component of your skin can contaminate and prevent you to have a good joint there. So let me give you some example of what I've done. First, some of elements, since I use, this is the third hand, I have it there for you to see it. The flux, the iron solder, and the solder. So I use this one, works well, but now I am using one that has not a resin core that I think is better. And the thick flux is the one you need for these small wires, because there is another like jelly, and this is for bigger wires, higher temperature, and it didn't work for me. So this is the project I'm doing. This is the 42 plus destroyer, Sheffield. This is the Argentinian Hercules. So I'm building all these towers, antennas, all with wires. I think in a meeting I show you this tower. But the key is I have to modify it because this support for this ringing was not in the funnel. So I have to do it. So I have to do it with plastic rods or with wires. So I decided to do it with wires. So I use 0.30 millimeters and 0.25 millimeters wires diameter. So this is the plane of the ship. So remember, I'm doing this. I get a piece of wire and bend it over the plane to have the side, the right angle. Always, I learned that better to keep length on the wire to handle it, and not start trimming it until you are at the very end. Otherwise, you ruin your project. So this is the flux. I was putting the flux on the area I was joining the wire. So then I did the thinning of the wire. So you put a little bit of solder on the tip of your iron solder, and then you paint the area where you want to join the wires. So this should be the final appearance. Then you put in a position that the final position you need to for the two pieces. So this is one of the clamps on the third hand here, and this is the other. And then you put flux on the joint, okay? And then you do a very quick touch with your hot iron, and then the product is there, finished. Then you can do some sanding of this to make it fit here. But you see, I still keep the length of the wires because if you cut it before, probably won't fit on your project. So then I did the holes into the funnel. I bended the plastic, the metals. I put it in. Then I bend it inside and I use super glue inside. And then I cut it the length I want. And this is after the primer painting. So this is a mask I did for Mr. Hugh. So that was what mask with this was shipped, where you building?
It was for the
Remember
carrier,
I did
wasn't it?
this plastic mask?
Wasn't it for the carrier?
You?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was the
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was the Saratoga, or one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah, it was for the Saratoga.
Yeah.
And that's the plastic
That's,
one
the
there?
new,
The Tamiya kit.
yeah.
So the tricky part of this is I did it with 3 pieces of wire. So I did the tip here, and in the joint. I put it together like this, and then I got the joint of 3 of them. And that's the final result.
And those are butt joints, so you didn't have to lay it on top and have that when they're front.
Well, I done it too, with 2 wires too. I just make like a small cord to have the wire sit on the mast. But in this particular case, I was not happy on doing that here. So I used just three wires. So now the demonstration.
Now the demonstration.
Dun, dun.
So first, let me show you the instruments and everything I do. So this is important for you to have a ceramic platform to do your job and prevent any burn of anything. That isolates the heat from everything. So there is a commercial things much better than that, and the Caboose has it. It's a square thing of special ceramic, or I don't know what material, but it's better than this. But as many things, I first try in the bad way, and then it works, and then I move. I don't know. Then you need also the tweezers for handling the wires. Forceps. This is one that doesn't work well, so they want to throw it away in the hospital. So I got it just to handle and bend the wires. And I have a long one too. That's
Is it right here?
yeah. This one. This to pick your nose.
Or somebody else's?
No, yeah. It has a damage, so they were throwing this away, so I got it because I can bend the wires very well with this. The only thing is too long, but
Stand farther back.
yeah, like this.
You can't see what you're doing.
Yeah. So, of course, I use my loops. You can use your optimizers or whatever you use to see better. Then tape, scotch.
Scotch tape?
Yeah,
Okay.
very simple. Sometimes to clean the tip, you need to have a sponge with water. So you clean it there. There is some stations that has like a metallic brush, so you can clean there. But this is usually good for this. And this is the second or third or fourth hand. It's good when you have a big wire, but when you have a small wire, it's too, yeah. So I have it in my workstation at home.
Where do you get your wire?
Sorry?
Where do you get your wire?
Caboose.
Caboose.
Yeah. And also a vise like this may work also to hold your wires. And then it's important to have a good measuring device to measure on the plane the length of the wire you need, and also to the diameter. So that's good. This works well for that. Sometimes you need to be creative, like this small radar I did. So you need to make drawings and things of your small drawing equipment is necessary too. And finally, the brass. So the brass came. You can read the diameter. This is a 1.1 millimeter. This is for 1.5. This is 0.48 millimeters. This is very small. This is 0.30 millimeters. This is even smaller. This is 0.16 of a millimeter. So, yeah. And you can find many diameters. This is 0.20. I like this that comes in these containers more than those in the envelope, because it's better to storage, I think. So it's 12 pieces. It's like a $2.50.
Is that brass or phosphor bronze?
Phosphor bronze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones in the tubes are phosphor bronze. And
Yeah.
they're a completely different type of metal. They're harder
Yeah.
than the brass. They're really nice to work with.
Yeah.
What is that, Jerry?
It's phosphor bronze.
Where
It's
do you
not
get
brass.
those? 'Cause Colt works.
That's caboose also.
Caboose.
Okay.
So this is a 0.25 millimeters.
Bronze more difficult to solder or easier? Or the same?
The same for me.
Same, but it's stronger.
Yeah. Okay, good. Then you need another set of equipment that all of you may have it at home. So this special cutter is very good to cut very flush the wires. Pliers, different type. I got cheap. I regret. This doesn't work, doesn't close. This is good. This cheap, already oxidized and corroded, doesn't work. The same one. Sometimes the wire is very thin, so you can cut it just with a knife or a razor blade.
Yeah, get a bunch of disposable
Fingernail
single-edge
cutters
razor
work very
blades.
well too.
And as soon as they start to get a little
If you
dull,
don't mind
just throw it
that.
away.
Yeah.
One thing, remember flux is an acid. And I learned this the hard way. You get flux on tools, especially anything with a polished surface, and leave it until a day or two later and it's covered with rust. So wash flux off and keep your tools clean.
What's the best way to remove the flux?
Water usually.
Just water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't use very much, it'll burn away as you solder your stuff. The flux will burn away. And
Yeah, but I'm talking about on your tools, like on a pair of pliers or something,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get it on there,
Yeah,
it'll
don't leave
corrode
it on.
overnight.
So Jerry, you're saying if you have flux on your tools and you don't clean it off, it will oxidize your tools?
Yeah.
In many
Oh, yeah.
cases.
And then if you run them under butter, they rust.
well, you're supposed to dry them off after you.
Oh! So now I gotta buy paper towels too?
And this is
Yeah, this is getting
the solder
expensive.
is 6337 without resin inside. This is the one with resin inside. It's 60-40 percentage, and this one I don't know what it is, but that came with the solder iron. So, and finally your iron. This one is good to start, but I think the one you recommend is much better.
It's more versatile.
Yeah, it's a hobby tool kit. It's one use only, and I keep using it. So you need to take care of the tip too. So I can show you what I did. Like this. I try to clean it with sandpaper. Don't do that. This is a disaster. Or this one. So he said that is ruined, cannot be used anymore.
Even worse is the file.
Yeah.
So either Rodrigo or Jerry, when you're using your soldering iron, you have that little patch of sponge there, and the little wet square sponge that you had in your tip. So when you're done soldering, you just run your tip on that little wet sponge. Is that it?
Rotate it back and forth to
Something
both
I've been
sides.
doing lately, I picked up, well, I got Dave one too. They now are using stuff, it's a real fine mesh, or not mesh, but like
Yeah.
steel wool, but it's made out of bronze.
Yeah.
Well, not even, similar to a Scotch brite, but it's made out of bronze, and it won't lower the temperature of the tip, and it's also softer than the tip, so it won't hurt it. The problem with the sponge, and usually I clean it when I'm done, but I like to clean it when I start again, it changes the temperature 20 to 25 degrees. So then you have to wait for it to heat back up. So for about the last 2 months, I've been using just that little bronze wool kind of stuff. And it's inexpensive, that in a container like $10.
Where do you get that?
I actually ordered that one, I think, from Amazon. I saw it when I was ordering some solder and stuff. They were saying, try these. And,
Oh, that suggestive sales thing
Mhm.
works.
yeah.
Actually, the purpose of that sponge, that wet sponge, is to lower the temperature of your tip. And when you attach it to wherever you're soldering, it comes up to temperature to do the soldering. It's not a cleaning thing. The flux that you use serves to clean the tip.
Yeah, I have another, I forgot, another container, a glass like this. I put a little bit of flux there, and I clean the tip too. There.
Clean it off.
So, what do you like to do? A mask or any fancy? We do the mast, like the one we do, the 3 pieces. Okay. So I'm bending in so many different shapes, but I don't have those. So. Let's use a couple of, I don't know, 0.5 millimeter wires, just to do a small mast.
That's background music.
I know, it's perfect. It's not what Rodrigo had recommended, but
Real new age.
So this is pretty clean and pristine because I just take it up from the box. But you can clean it with sandpaper or with that chemical combination of acid and alkaline.
Usually when you brand new fresh like this, the flux will clean it well.
Yeah. So let's cut here like this, and two small pieces like this. So I take the wire with length, and then I trim it back to the length we need. So what I will first do is, this is already heat. I know because I smell the fumes.
Okay.
So this is the flux. So the very first thing I will do is cleaning the tip of the joint. I will here like this. Okay. Then I will put some solder in the iron, and then just I will touch this like this.
tinning the wire there, right?
Yeah, so you can see.
Now, the amount of solder that's on there is all that's necessary to flow in to fill your joint.
Yeah.
You don't need to put the solder out there when you've got the iron in there.
When you touch, you still have some solder in the iron tip. So
Yeah, when you're soldering larger pieces, you sometimes have to have the solder and the iron in at the same time to get enough filler in there. But at this scale, it's not necessary.
They always recommend that you're supposed to take the piece you're working on and heat it up, then apply the solder to the piece. So then the solder flows on it nice. But when you're working with something this small, it don't matter where it comes from.
It doesn't.
If it comes from the tip of the soldering iron or wherever, it's going to be hot when it hits that piece, and it's going to flow. But if you're working with bigger pieces, you should always apply the solder to the piece you're working to and have the soldering iron heat that piece up.
Pull it to it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but you gotta heat both pieces. of
Yeah,
the-
that's why if you're doing bigger stuff.
Yeah.
This stuff here, when you pre-tin it, when you actually put the two pieces together, all you're
so
doing is.
I'm doing something that you should be doing.
It's it.
I am handling 3 things with 2 hands. So I am trying to do this, and I will put that in my eye very easily. So you always keep this down and
Yeah, having
Yeah.
a stand is very important as well.
yeah.
Because one of the things that you did your kind of washed right over in the earlier thing about health and safety is the fire hazard of the iron.
That's a bad thing.
Well, one of the things that I noticed in your little safety
That might
things,
be bad.
my workspace is such a cluttered mess that when I was practicing at home with my own stuff, I realized I can't do this where I need a better space with not so much clutter on it because it's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
You know what you could do? You could give me all the models and stuff.
So where is the other piece?
One of the things that,
Right. Okay, good.
one of the things that I did years ago was when I was building my long railroad.
No, and now I need to see.
Drill up there with
I feel your pain.
Oh, it was just one of those little things that it was just 110, 20 volt thing that you run your wires through and it just lights up when you have that circuit on. So the one socket that I use for my soldering is the only place I use a soldering iron. When I leave the room, if there's a red light on over there right before I close the door, I know I'm going to go back and turn off that soldering iron. And the other 2 indicators are through power supplies on the way out. But if any of those are on, I go back and I can turn it on. I always check that. It's the last thing I do before I shut the door and leave there. And that way it's always on. Because one time, long time ago, before I'd done that, I went in there a couple of days after I'd been in there, and there's this whole soldering iron. They're just sitting there going, just cooking away. And I thought, oh, am I lucky that I didn't have a fire.
Wow.
You're talking about mass. There's, I think it's Alliance Model Works makes some tapered mass,
Oh, really?
scale
Yeah.
tapered mass
Nice.
now. Yeah. You don't want to make a mistake with it though.
So I tape it like this.
Oh, wow.
That works better than this for me.
Now, at that time, that's loose pieces just taped together, right?
Yeah, they
Held together with, yeah.
just a small regular tape.
Now you're just gonna touch the iron to that and it'll flow the solder and you'll be done.
Well, what I will do is I will put a drop of flux in the joint
Yeah.
to clean it. Oh, this is empty on this.
And your iron ain't there long enough to melt that tape.
Here for a second.
Yeah.
So a porcelain piece of towel would work as well as a plate, right, Jerry?
Yeah. A lot of those soldering videos I've sent out show using 12 by 12 porcelain.
Yeah.
You pick up one at any big box store
Yeah.
for $2.
That's it. I think should be.
Stick your feet on the bottom and so you're able to pick them up.
Now, what do you do when you have a second arm that you want to put across there?
A second on top.
Say, for instance, a lot of times you'll have one here, and then you'll have another yard arm down below.
I do the same.
What do you do for a heat sink?
Well, I try to be very quick and fast, and I left the pieces tape because if the heat goes on that direction and melt this, they are still in position, and when the
Okay.
John, he showed me an antenna he made with 4 prongs coming out of it, and that was exactly my question. It's like, how did you do that without the other ones becoming disjointed?
Yeah, it's the same. I tape all them like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I just quick touch,
Yeah.
and the tape prevent the wires to move away.
How close is the tape to the actual joints?
In this case, I put it like about 1 centimeter.
Okay.